Got 4 here. I'm guessing they're sort of 3-4 foot long, something like that.
These are just half the length of the one that ate Matt's thumb, but the giant moray eel can grow to 12 feet long.
So, this is a moray eel, and just looking at those teeth and jaws, they are pretty ferocious. I want to have a closer look at those. I'm going to put it down for a moment. The front ones are very long. They're slightly curved, and the thing about them is they're pointing back. So if you actually pull, all you're going to do is make those points penetrate even deeper. The thing is, what happens then? The moray eel is actually unique in this respect, in terms of how it transfers its prey from the point of the jaws back into the throat. It's actually got this secondary set of jaws in the back of the throat. It's almost like alien. They will come forward, grab hold of the prey, pull it back into the throat.
Morays have few natural predators, are known cannibals, and are not afraid to take on prey equal to their own size. Their science fiction designed jaws give them the ability to swallow their quarry whole, much like the sea serpent reports I've read. But I can't see how even the biggest morays could swallow a person. And the fact that these ambush predators hide away in cracks and crevices on the ocean floor doesn't fit with ancient tales of sea serpents attacking boats at the surface.
I'm meeting up with a fish expert from the University of Pará, Dr. Jonathan Reddy. He has a couple of specimens in a tank, so I can get my first proper look at an electric eel.
These fish are using their electric capability all the time. They're constantly sending out little pulses.
Smaller eels like these deliver a less powerful shock than the larger ones, but they can still pack a punch. Wearing protective rubber gloves, Jonathan shows me this by hooking one up to a bank of LEDs. It lights them up using muscles that have been modified into thousands of special cells, which work in a similar way to AA batteries. Each individual cell generates around 1/10 of a volt, but when they all fire together, a large pulse is produced. It uses this high voltage to shock prey and for defense.
So this voltage is, just for a very short while, 400, 500 volts. The bigger eels, then they're known to be up to 600 volts, maybe even above.
That's almost the same as the voltage produced by a heart defibrillator. Electric eels also generate a low energy pulse of around 10 volts, which they use to survey their surroundings, helping to compensate for their poor eyesight. It can see, even in muddy water, by using its electroreceptors to detect distortions in its electrical field. A pulse is emitted every few seconds, and these can be picked up by placing electrodes in the water and amplifying the signal.
There you see a wave of signals as they try and work out what's going on.
So my finger in there wouldn't feel this, it's only...
You wouldn't feel this.
Small, orienting pulses are harmless. But the bigger shocks are up to 65 times more powerful and can travel through water.
When they're about to stun something, do you get much warning if they're going to do that? Do I hear a...
You will get some kind of warning, but it might not be too much for you to react in time. There you go. No problems.
No shock this time. I'm hoping this equipment will help me locate them in the wild. This is the end of the line for this boat, and as we pull into a remote fishing village, I get my first sight of a Congo River monster. Anguille.
Yeah.
They call them eels. I'm used to eels that are about like that round and maybe 18 inches, 2 foot long. These things, you know, they're the thickness of your leg and maybe getting on for 5 foot. I'll see if we can maybe get one out and have a proper look at one. They're just such weird looking creatures. Right. I'm not going to put my hands in the mouth there. There's some pretty nasty looking fangs in there, and they're, you know, they look sharp, they also look quite dirty and unhygienic. I think I've got an ID on these. I think these are lungfish.
Oui.
That is because this fish actually has an air bladder which is used as a lung, so it can actually breathe out of water.
And this is a fish that can bury itself underground and survive droughts.
It sort of, I think, belched out a little bit of air, and then there was a took some air in and then belched out of the gills. Small eyes generally on a fish means that, you know, they don't use them much for feeding. They're probably using vibration or scent in the water more than vision to find their food. This was caught on a palm nut, so it suggests, you know, an omnivorous feeder. I mean, that mouth to me looks like it's going to take fish. I'd guess, like a lot of fish around here, you know, it's sort of opportunistic. It'll actually chomp anything that comes its way. But anyway, they call this an eel, and, you know, I have to say it's the most impressive eel that I have ever seen.
Lungfish are ancient creatures, predating all animals that walk on land. When I look at a beast like this, Mami Wata no longer seems such a stretch of the imagination. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like the River Monsters page.